black, or the power of black, I should say, and how it's represented, like in mythology and, like ancient mythologies and different cultures, because black has been represented in different ways, or what the power that it was in different ways in different cultures, right? So I'm going to get a little bit into that, or a lot of it into that, like right now, pretty much. And so this is the interesting part, right? So the interesting part. So when we talk, even in mythologies, if we go back to our oldest stories, right? What do we typically say? That before there was sunlight, there was black, right? That before even the first stars existed, before the first world had a name, before like time had actually begun measuring existence, there was this darkness, right? We all get that, right? That there was just like this prevailing darkness, right? That, like, the whole thing with that is that from this darkness, we get creation. We get creation from the darkness, right? Like, the darkness comes first, and the darkness, in a lot of ways, births what comes next, right? Like, darkness is kind of associated with, pathways between dimensions, creation itself, the womb ideologies, primordial waters, all that stuff is like black kind of being put on this idea of this intersection of us and creation, right? Hang on, I'm just getting to our shit. I just gotta watch the comment section, right? All right. So this idea of early representations of black as a power, this is kind of what it is. It lays out a lot of power. Like, this is not about black as opposite of white. This is not black. Black in this sense does not require white in order to have meaning. These are almost two different concepts that we're talking about. Like, really, right? Like, this does not require white in itself to have any context, because it had already existed before, right? Like, prior to that contrast, we understood that this darkness existed in totality, right? We get that in the very, very beginning, and for a long ass time, there was only this prevailing blackness, this prevailing darkness. And then within that, we started producing all the other stuff, and we represent it in a lot of ways. Like, it got manifested in various gods. Like, this idea of this first power has gotten translated so many times, and I don't know if we're quite aware of, like, we're transmitting this power. But so I wanted to go back, and I want to draw the mythology to it and like connect the modern times, because this is what it initially meant when we talk about representations of black, like especially in early mythology, right? It meant primordial existence, right? It represents what existed before the visible universe, right? And I mean visible for us. That's the big representation. When we say the visible universe, we're saying the visible universe for us, right? It is not simply what existed. All this stuff existed. We just did not have the capacity to see it, like other things we don't do. So the visible universe is what we observe. And even when we understand the visible spectrums of light, it's like we see a very small band of all the visible spectrums of life, right? So that's what we have to understand. Like, darkness exists before, like, all this. Now what we have is a visible spectrum that we see as light, right? Now, a lot of time it comes from unformed cosmic waters. Like, we see those representations all the time, like the noon. It has this idea that the womb itself before birth, of course, is darkness. Like, literally, damn it, like literally, we're like, okay, you are born from darkness, right? What it represents is the infinite. It represents unrealized potential. It is beings older than the current world. That's actually where the hell that we actually live at, right? We know this, right? Right? We see like the awakening as such a big thing of what we see of this visible, while still acknowledging that there's all the stuff we actually don't see in the darkness. The stuff that we would call darkness is all hidden to us simply because we can't see it. Not that it doesn't exist, right? Not that it isn't something substantial. It only means that we are not able to actually perceive it, right? That's a different way of thinking about something. Not that this darkness is nothing. It's just that, yeah, darkness is something, is everything's there. Everything literally is in there, right? There's all kinds of stuff going on in there. You just can't see it. That's the difference. That's the fundamental difference, is that we flip the hierarchy on this small visible spectrum of the world that we have the ability to perceive, and take that for the totality of the universe itself, right? Because all of it came from this. All of it comes from this primordial power, right? We say that light reveals what already exists, not any newest. Like, light only reveals what already exists. Darkness exists, everything, every potential, every power, every energy, all of it exists there. It simply has not taken form. That is what that ultimate concept actually means. Like, from whence we came from, that darkness, that's where everything is, right? Like, where you are isn't like, yeah, okay, where we are, sure, that seems great. It's what's visible to us on our very small spectrum of what we're able to see, just actually see, right? So also from this, we get from this darkness creation and manifestation, right? Primordial blackness contains possibilities, then it can produce realities. So it's creating matter from nothing, it's giving form to spirits, manifesting objects, weapons, producing living beings, and turning imagination or manifestations, intentions, into physical form. Black becomes the cosmic canvas on which existence itself is created. It is regeneration and resurrection. This is the clearest sacred associations. In Kemet, black was connected with the rich soil, its fertility, its regeneration, its renewed life. So Ausar's blackness communicates something deeper. It is the power of return from death, all that cycle. And we also have to remember that in a civilization like this, where with this soil, you have an ecosystem with the soil. We say things like ashes to ashes and dust to dust. We're talking about the soil. When you are gone, you return to the soil. You are coming from the soil. So when you talk about soil, don't let them disconnect you on what they mean when they're talking about soil. So all this stuff with Ausar, we get a lot of powers. Like, how does Ausar's actual powers manifest? I'm against that, but then we start talking about regeneration, resurrection, that's healing. We talk about time and eternity. We associate that with the powers associated black, time travel, immortality, existing outside of linear time, accessing past lives, seeing multiple future possibilities, returning to earlier states of civilization, repeating cycles of death and thus rebirth, right? The perfect black did all this stuff. So this is not about moving through time. It is somewhere where it meanders through time. Black is associated with space. It's associated with portals and dimensional travels. So we talk about places like the shadow dimension, the ancestral realm, the space between worlds. All these things we see are made up of this potential, right? This is a portal generating substance. It's a living void, right? A pathway through distances become irrelevant when we're talking about travel through this infinite. It is absorption and containment. It can take it all light. It can receive what's ever directed into it. Light, heat, radiation, magical energy, emotional pain, souls, physical attacks. All this stuff mythologies tell us is what darkness can actually take. It is a power that gives you concealment by blending into shadows, becoming invisible, hiding your own spiritual presence, concealing thoughts and intentions, protecting sacred knowledge, moving without detection. These are all things that we associate again with black, right? It's protection and invulnerability, right? Blackness operates as a boundary. It is shadow armor. It is impenetrable skin. Like, this is what we see manifested in like mythologies. And I'm going to go through each of these. We talk about transformation, hidden knowledge. Like, black is associated with all this stuff. Sovereignty. So we see it. So the first one I was going to talk about, obviously, was, where you at, my man? Jeez. Ausar, right? Now, Ausar, man, I could cook on Ausar. He is said to be, or he was called, among other things, the perfect black, right? This is what he was, the deity was known at, right? This is a deity who comes to us from ancient Kemetic culture. His earliest surviving appearances were like 2400 BCE. So like for that culture, this is late 5th dynasty. Greeks would call him Osiris. So if you hear the name Osiris, they're talking about Ausar, right? That's Osiris's government name, right? His true power name is Ausar. Right? He is commonly known as Ausar, Wesar, or Wesir. So when you hear about the city of Wasar, right? That's a reference to him. This would have been his sacred city, right? Now his primary power, he played the role of the king of the dead. He was the Lord of Regeneration. Write that one down. He is the source of legitimate kingship. He is the judge of the deceased. Man, that's a lot of power, man. Because you're really controlling, the kingship up in the material world, and you're literally the king of the underworld, man. That's what we call complete lockdown. That's really what he was showing us there, right? And his power was primarily life emerging from death. And let's remember this story. Like, he was the guy up on Earth who was said for the Kemetic belief system that he was building, pyramids. He was sharing knowledge. Like, he was the one who was bringing divine knowledge to the world. So he was kind of Prometheus, but on a grand, I would say even grander scale, because he brought more than just fire. He brought like agriculture. He brought architecture. A lot of sciences or early sciences he brought, right? So his sacred colors were said to be black and green, both for these times to be associated with fertility. Obviously, like we see, we accept the fertility of being like the land, right? And the fertility of the soil, but the soil and the people, in these mythologies are one. Think about the people who were writing these mythologies, right? So his symbols were the crook and the fail, the Atef crown. He's known for, he's literally the first mummy. Out of everything, all of his accolades, he's also the first mummy in existence. It was his wife, Auset or Isis, who performed the first mummification ritual on him and brought him back. Like that's how that whole thing went down. His sacred centers were Abydos, and he's also associated with fertile soil and grain. Now, he is a central figure in this belief system. He's remembered as the first sacred king, a ruler who established civilization, cultivates the land, right, and governs according to divine order. His mythology begins with kingship, but it does not end there. After he is murdered, dismembered, and deprived of his earthly throne, yet his death does not ease his authority, right? That's the boom shot right there. Through the divine power of Auset, his body is restored, his life force is reactivated, and he becomes the eternal sovereign of the astral realm. Boom. Now I'm permanently the king of this. So he represents the Black King who cannot be broken, who can be broken but not destroyed. His power moves through death, ancestry, and future generations. So he controls the kingship. The kingship comes ultimately through his line, like up here, and he is the eternal one down there. What does eternal mean? That means forever. Like, that's it. He's got that one unlocked. So his earliest texts go all the way back to like late 5th century, 6th century. So we know a lot about his account. He's heavily documented in the pyramid texts. This is like 2,400 years ago. So he's got it in. He's the divine, for him, he's the divine like royal family for their belief system, right? Geb's his father. He's the embodiment of earth. Nut is his mother. She's the embodiment of the heavens. They come together, bam. And then you got Set, his sister wife. Yeah. Set, his brother. And Nephhed or Nephthys, who is a sister who is the protector of the dead. And in that genealogy, he stands between creation and kingship. Like, he's that connection. He's the one who came down and was like, look, I'm going to put you guys up on game. Let me teach you how to like farm. Let me teach you guys geometry, right? This is the guy who said that. I'm going to introduce geometry and all these sacred knowledges to you, right? And he's known through the story of getting murdered by his brother. That's a whole separate story. Maybe you deserve to get stabbed up for that. Like we'll have to quantify that stabbing later. But it does happen. And then, he get his wife, like, who's a very powerful being herself. She uses magic. The first one, she's the first one to have this, right? She's the first one. And she used her magic, which is incredibly powerful. And she brings him back from the underworld, like, for a brief time. And they consummate. And then they get a son, right? So that's how he propagates the line. So very, very powerful story. And, this is how this is the comeback story. But he was the rightful king that was, murdered. His body was desecrated, thrown all over the place. His son, trains in to be successful. This is one of the first comeback stories of all time, man. This is the first like movie that probably had 2 or 3 trilogy, you know, like it was a series, first franchise movies. Because Haru wins in the end, like, you know, he comes back and gets his, you know, he gets a war, you know. They have a couple of fights, but ultimately it goes back to his son. And then he's the immortal. And in this case, you know, Black, his power is also resurrection, it's divine transformation, it's bodily restoral. This is all these things. He's regeneration. He possesses the power to regenerate new life after death. That was pretty damn powerful to me. Agricultural renewal, immortality, all this stuff lines up through him, man. Legitimate kingship. He is the judge of the dead. He is the lord of the Duat, literally. So he presides over the moral transformation of the deceased. So he's in that. In later funerary texts, he sits at the throne during the weighing of the heart, right? Like, that's the authority he has. Like, and you better have been living your life according to Ma'at, or it's going to be trouble. And, you know, he represents, like, this black skin as well as green, but these are all symbolic about, like, the fertility and also who the people were, like the fertile soil. He represented that. This was a culture that clearly deified Black. So this could be, you know, insight to what they actually thought about themselves, all right? So, and there's a lot of assimilations that are kind of like this guy. Now, this is one, man, this is another one here. Let me see if I can get this name right, though. This is a tough one. Let's see where you're at here. This one here, and there's no way I'm going to get this name. It's Kaha Sibware. This is a creation. This is a creation deity, right? Who is called Black Creation. This is what she is. She's a primordial mother. She is a serpent spirit. She is a creator of earthly abundance and the accidental bringer of death, right? That's a lot of crowns. I'm worried about that last one. Now, her culture, where she comes from, is the indigenous Malaysian tradition of Makira. This is formerly called San Cristobal in the Solomon Islands, right? And she is a very powerful spirit who she was never a human. This is not, she's always been in this form. She's a female serpent, and her primary powers include creation of life, right? Biological generation, agricultural abundance, and the establishment of mortal existence, right? She is the foundation for all it comes from. Now we see her. She is this primordial female creature of these indigenous people, and she belongs to a class of supernatural beings. And their spirits were never humans, and therefore were not ancestral ghosts. So these are not ancestral ghosts. She is described as being a human-shaped goddess, but as an enormous... she's not described as a human-shaped goddess, but as an enormous female serpent spirit. And she says she existed when the world was new and produced the living foundation of island society. So she is accountable for human beings, pigs, other animals, coconut palms, fruit trees, and food available on the land. This is the earliest major, record of her. Goes all the way back to the 19th century. As we had some outsiders come and document. Now, her powers is literally that she possesses material creation. She's not merely, shaping an empty universe. She creates humanity by itself in isolation. She constructs the entire living system. She makes food, she makes plants, she makes pigs, all the stuff you guys like. She makes human beings appear interconnected in parts of creation at the same time. This is the power that she put down. You guys should be thankful for this. Her creation follows a very, practical philosophy. Humanity cannot exist before the world contains what humanity needs to live. So she makes her power as an ecosystem. That's what she's creating, not purely cosmos. She creates the conditions of civilization, right? She gave you food for your hunger, right? She knew you guys were going to be complaining about that. She gave you animals for animal husbandry. She gave you fruit so you guys could go out there and harvest it. And she gave you nature. She put you in there, not above any of this stuff. But she's like, I'm giving you the stuff that you guys need to work it out. Like, basically, I gave you everything. You need to work it out. I've given you guys abundance, right? So the first world was so abundant that the fruits just grew, man. We didn't have to do anything, man. This was the best, man. Like, everything, we didn't have to labor for it, right? Everything was just so abundant, man. We were just out there and it was cool, man. Everybody had a good time, man. You can see, man, nobody really had a shirt on. They was chilling like this, man. I love this. I love this depiction, right? And the original creation existed as an effortless provision rather than a struggle. Imagine that. And there's no scarcity. There's no exploitation. This is the world that she had for us, man. This is the world. This is her world. Now, she also explains how death entered in the world because it's something that she did and it was totally an accident, right? So a woman left her infant in the serpent spirit's care while she went to work. When the child, she started screaming, she became irritated, wrapped her coils around the infant, and strangled it. I know this is a grim story, guys. Until that moment itself, death had not existed. Literally, the first murder was a baby. That is a raw reality for babies everywhere. That's a really astonishing story for every baby in the world. I hope you guys got a bat or some or a gun with you because, like, Jesus Christ, man, why would the first murder be a baby, right? Like that's the first death is a baby because you got tired of this baby. Like I'm not judging, right? This is we're sharing cultures, right? We're sharing our cultures between each other, right? But I mean, Jesus, man, a baby. I'm just saying, man. Like you got irritated. You wrapped your coils around the baby and you strangled it, right? And the returning mother discovered her child's body and attacked the goddess with an axe. The goddess fled, and the original harmony between humanity and its creator was permanently broken. So this gives her like to a real shocking identity. Like first you created humanity, and and then you cause the first death, right? Like you provide nourishment, but then like you kill babies. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a dual nature. But this idea of the serpent, and again this dark, this black creation serpent, this is all wrapped into the same belief system, right? Like very much primordial existence, fertility and generation, earthly power. She represented all that because the snake, remember, it sheds its skin, so automatically we get like regeneration with the snake, right? Like that's 100% what you get. Because it travels against the ground and disappears, it symbolizes connection, like fertility, death, ancestral realm, and she embodies all that. Like for beings who could make mortal beings, and she was one who really controlled what mortality actually meant. And so she's kind of what I think is really tied into like a lot of what we see: primordial mother, like earth, serpents. We see all that stuff like that. That broken caregiver is really what gets her, though, man. Her being the bringer of mortality, wow, that was a shocking one, man. I'm telling you guys, I'm shocked by that one too. I mean, like we hear about horrible stuff happening to babies. It's like, geez, man, who is that? Like there are people out there to get those damn babies, man. That's true. Wow. So I mean, so for modern times, I look at her, and again, it's just she's a creation deity. We see like how ancient cultures looked at her, right? So she's all about power. She's all about abundance, right? Now the next one I got, you guys are gonna like this one, right? All right, let's see if we can find this one here. No, it's not it. That's not it. There we go. Yeah, Agunau, right? Agunu. This is a difficult one as well for me, at least, right? So we'll have limited opportunities, but this deity here is about black cosmic sovereignty. She is a supreme serpent deity associated with the Makari people in the Solomon Islands of the Malaysian Islands, and within recorded account, she stands at the summit of divine power, the chief god whose authority encompasses the sea, living nature, human health, fertility, and material abundance all in one-stop shop. She is said to identify with other greater or serpent deities from this island, that she is among these great, this great grouping of these serpents, right? And this tradition is recorded by later Christians that, it's questionable how much of it really got through. So they may represent alternative names and things like that, but in mythological reference, we kind of understand where it comes from. This is a Solomon Island mythology. Like their languages are obviously very distinct, and their traditions overall involve relationships with ancestors, non-human spirits, natural forces, powerful beings who could influence gardening, fishing, health, warfare, and community prosperity. So all those things that we see associate well with what the beliefs of this deity are. And again, it's that incredible power of creation. And again, the body of the massive serpent, the human-like head, 4 eyes. She got clawed wings. She has bat-like claws, and every feature of her is central to a form of their cosmology, right? Like each of the aspects that she represents. This is again a cosmic power. She creates a cosmos. She is described as the ultimate authority. She gives greater than just political influence or kingships. Her authority rests in the level of reality existing itself, right? So without her, no PS5s. That's what it is. She's creation and nourishment all wrapped in one, right? So we see that connection. She's a great goddess. She's credited with creating and nourishing all life. This is the power to bring stuff into existence, right? Literally the power that creates it and continues the feeding process. Like this is the ultimate energy power source. She's just dominion over the sea. She commands the environment, the surrounding and sustaining oceans and island life. The ocean provides food, transportation, communication, and access to neighboring communities, but it can also bring storms, isolation, disappearance, and death. Her relationship with the sea is kind of placed in that abundance, but also danger. She has fertility. She has health and healing. She's associated with harvest and abundance, obviously. And why a serpent? Because serpents were known for this. Serpents were associated themselves with primordial essence, regeneration, fertility, all of her stuff, hidden knowledge, water and oceanic movement, like in the wave pattern. So this is something that's very, very common for a snake representation. So this is her role. This is her as the cosmic, like again, the dark sea, where all the potential for creation actually exists. Like this is where we see coming out of this character. So that's three different cultures there, right? That we see how they kind of say, black as a power, like black as a power, what it manifests. And then let me see if I can find this one here, man. This stuff's all over the place. So then we got this cat here, right, who is Cloak, right? And this is a Marvel character. This guy's name is Tyrone Johnson, excuse me. Tyrone Johnson, right? This is a Marvel character. And man, sometimes, man, I wonder about Marvel sometimes, but yeah. So this character was created by Marvel Comics. This comes out like 1982, like Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man, number 64, right? And his powers is like living darkness. And it is dimensional embodiment, energy absorption, and shadow teleportation. So you see what this, what it means. So who is he? He is a black teenager from Boston who lived with a severe stutter. I don't know where this is going. After witnessing his friend Billy being shot by the police, he tried to intervene but could not force the words out. It left him traumatized, and after that, he ran away. He met another. Blah, blah, blah. How'd you get your powers? Like, they get their powers, I think, some type of drug. Like, some drug gets, like, some experimental drug gets forced on, or something like that, right? So now he develops this power to manipulate shadows or this entire dark dimension, which now this is an extra dimensional realm, right? The dark force dimension. And now Tyrone can transform into like intangible mass of living darkness. Bullets go right through him, physical attacks pass through him. He's no longer operating with an ordinary solid body. He can absorb, sense light. He can make an entire area black. Like he can do all this stuff. He can suck the life force out of you, right? Like that's a scary part. He possesses a relentless. Wow, this is really okay. He possesses a relentless hunger for living energy. So when he pulls you in, like he drains like warmth, hope. He drains all the good stuff out of you, man. That's pretty scary. Like that's a messed up representation there. He is engulfment and imprisonment. He's teleportation, intangibility, fear manifestation. He's pretty raw, man. Like this guy isn't like a dark evil. I don't know if it's a dark evil dark, but it's definitely like a cold, like psychological, like killer. This black that he represents, it's very much like You know, it's very, very much like it's a very different kind of black, I think. A very, very different kind of black, right? But this is more protection, judgment, hunger than anything else. But yeah, it's still kind of manifested in that way. But I that's a caveat that I would add to this. I think it's a little bit kind of weird. And like I know this stuff is kind of linked to like, you know, there's some drug addiction and stuff in there. But let's look at this guy here. Okay, Blackout. This is another character, man, I wanted to talk about, man. Okay, man, I had to turn my AC on. Okay, this is another character here, like in that same vein, right? A very cool character right here. This is Marvel Comics character, like another Marvel joint, right? And this character is Blackout, right? And this dude is like, you know, first comes out in Nova, so he's been out since 1978. He was created by Marv Wolfman, which I remember some of his stuff. Carmine Infantino and Tom Palmer. And of course, he's associated with the Masters of Evil, right? So that's the crew that he's down with, right? And his power is also the Dark Forest Dimension, okay? So Marvel's sticking true to the game on this. It's Dark Forest Dimension. Of course, you're also a super villain, is what you are, okay? But that's all right, okay? At least you're working down there, okay? Now, here's the thing, okay? He is a physicist and a laboratory assistant working under Dr. Abner Crow, whose experiments attempt to draw energy from other dimensions. An accident always flooded Daniel's body with Dark Force energy, coincidentally, permanently connecting him to the Dark Force dimension. And he took on the name Blackout, and it's been on ever since, right? Ever since he got hit, he immediately was like, yeah, I'm 100% down. I already have a name. Like, he had his name that same day. You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, as soon as he realized that he had powers, he immediately accepted. Like, he didn't have a long period of like, I gotta show you that these powers work. You know what? Nobody had to convince him to use his powers. As soon as he realized he had powers, he was like, "Yep, let's go." And I already got my name. I have my name right now. That shows you like what he was all about. He literally had his name before, so he took the name, you know, Blackout, and now it was it, right? So he killed the racist teacher who was messing with him for some odd reason. And now he just became like, you know, paranoid, unstable. So this is what he is, though. What are his powers? Like, this dude is like some deep, again, Dark Force powers. His body function as a living connection to the entire dimension of negative light. Wow, it's all negative and light absorbing. It's all negative and light absorbing, right? It's not potential or any of that stuff. You guys are changing here. So he can project powerful blasts of extra dimensional energy. He has darkness generation. He can make stuff dark. He can make solid constructions. He can create portals, dimensional imprisonment in that said zone. He has teleportation, flight, and energy absorption, and defense. So, you know, he's a pretty powerful being there, right? He can really change the battlefield himself. And we've seen like, yeah, I've seen him rolling with Moonstone and Dr. Zemo. Yeah, I'm familiar with this character, man. Like, yeah, he's got a different kind of association with the Dark Force, right? He creates, yeah, you know, a little different. But yeah, like a similar, you can kind of see how this representation of like Dark Force is, like how he compares to Cloak, you know. Then this next one, man, this is another good one right here. This is one I want to talk about as well. Where are you at here? Darkstar. Yeah, Darkstar was another character I remember back in my day, like in my heyday of reading comic books. Another Marvel entry into this one is this character Darkstar, right? Like we remember Darkstar. Okay, I'm gonna have to move you over. Let's see. Yeah, this is a Marvel. This is created by Jenny Blake Isabella. And this is a Russian-born character, right? A Russian-born character, former Soviet Union. She's a mutant superhero and a government operative. Wow, all right. Her first affiliations were the Champions of Los Angeles. Man, I don't know if any of you guys remember the Champions of Los Angeles, man, but that was a great one. I know Angel, like Warren Worthington was in that group, obviously. I don't know who else is in that group, right? But she was also a Soviet super soldier She's part of the Winter Guard and the X Corporation. And her power source was also the Dark Force dimension. So she had a twin brother who was a physicist, and he had an accident, right? And you know, that's how it went down. Yeah. So she got her powers that way, man. So basically, yeah, it's kind of rough. And then the government used her and said, "Yeah, you about to be a Russian spy, right? Like you spy ski, right?" So her power is still this connection to the dark force, this extra dimensional power. She can pull dark force energy into an ordinary space and compress it into physical objects. These constructs possess approximately strength and density of steel. That's pretty damn good. So she commonly creates walls and defensive shields, spears and containment fields, columns and platforms, and constraints, piercers and grasping shapes, right? Bridges and supporting structure. This is not shadow manipulation. She is manipulating blackness as solid matter, like on a particle level. She can project dark force energy, which I think will slap the shit out of you. It's concrete forces. She has concussive force. She can create dimensional portals, very common. She can take others with her. She can travel as a group, right? She gets a group rate, right? She moves through it and comes out in reality. She obviously teleports. She can fly with an invisible field of dark energy, allows her to levitate and fly. She can part of her conscious can exist in her physical body, while the other aspect is represented inside the dark force dimension. Wow, and they say interconnected. Man, she is raw, man. She is raw. I gotta really, really give her a props. Like, yeah, this is a character that, she fights for. Okay, she rejects her original evil mission and joins the Champions of Los Angeles because LA was dope, right? Yeah, and then she goes back and joins the Super Soldiers later. But mythically, man, she represents a lot. She ties right into it. Like, she's very much like a trauma child, so the trauma into protection. She's all about it, man. This is a very deep character. I always kind of like this character. Yeah, definitely a nice representation. Now I've shown you guys like repeatedly Marvel characters. I've repeatedly shown you Marvel characters, but DC also has its representation of Dark Force characters too, right? So I'm going to break out the DC characters, Dark Force as well. Okay, so let me bring up this first one. You've probably seen him because I've been skipping through all these, right? That's all right. Okay, this dude right here. Okay, Obsidian, also known as Todd Rice. This is a DC Comics joint right here. He first appears in All-Star Squadron. I remember that book back in number 25, back in September of 1983. And, he's primarily this, regular person who people don't know that he has this stuff, right? His power classification is a living shadow. He possesses darkness manipulation and access to the Shadowlands, right? Now let's see. Okay. Wow, he's the son of Alan Scott, the original Golden Age Green Lantern, and Rose Canton, the complicated superhuman better known as Thorn. Okay. So he has two suit parents. And he's a twin of Jenny Lynn Hayden, who is also Jay. Okay, so look, he was gonna be part of this anyway. Now his power is that he can transform his entire body into a three-dimensional mass of living shadow. Wow, that's dope right there, man. That's not just a black costume or clouds around it. His physical body becomes an animated manifestation of blackness, of dark, right? So he can pass through physical barriers. Nothing's holding him back. He can be protected from most conventional forms of attack. I don't know how you're going to attack this guy. He's going out of another dimension, but he can span his body. He's got shadow manipulation, concealment, restraint, right? Intangibility, flight, shape, and reshaping yourself like he can apparently do. Shadow merging. I mean, he can take on other shadows like this. So this guy's pretty well skilled, and he's got a pretty high. This is pretty cosmic level being, man. This guy ain't no joke right here. He's got a lot of power, and yeah, I wouldn't want it with him at all. Like, I think he's got kind of the presetting of like a villain to me. That's what I kind of feel about him. but I'll have to get some deeper qualifications on who his character really is. All right, let's look at who's this Nightshade. Yeah, I like this character Nightshade. Hang on one second. Let me get to my notes on Nightshade here. Okay, this is a DC character. This is a DC Comics character here. This is Eve Eden is her name, like Nightshade, right? And she first came out in 1966 in Captain Atom number 82, right? And David Kaller and Steve Ditko. Now, this is supposed to be like a magical being, a dimensional royalty, right? A magical being, superhero, and intelligence operative. She's everything in one. She's been in Suicide Squad, the Shadow Pact, and the Justice League, right? And her source of power is the land of the Nightshades. So that's all she is. She's an American political woman from another dimension. And how her powers work, she possesses a magical control over darkness and the land of the Nightshade. Ha! Right? So she had shower power, shadow manipulation, light, living shadow transformation, shadow teleportation, shadow constructions, right? She can do all that. So she's a very powerful being. She has an ancestral kingdom to which her power is tied to. Like she's very getting into it. And this character, like I said, man, this character right here really gets right into the heart of kind of how darkness represents all kind of the core elements that you would see. That's what they got in this character right here. So we see a lot of characters that kind of rooted around that ideology of darkness. Man, these are just a handful. I may get back into it, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But I'm going to skip out for a bit now, get a little bite to eat, and then I'll be back later to kind of spin some more tales for you guys.